Welcome to Seller Sessions. I am your host today, Sharon Even, and today for our quarterly supply chain and logistics update, I've got the one and only Refael Elbaz, founder of Unicargo, back here with us. Hi, Refael. How are you?
Hey, Sharon. I'm good. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Great stuff. For anyone who lives under a rock and doesn't know who you are, could you please give a quick intro to who you are and what Unicargo does?
Yeah, well, I'm the founder of Unicargo, until recently the CEO as well. Unicargo is a freight forwarding company I founded back in 2015, about 7 years ago. And we move freight mainly for e-commerce businesses, smaller sellers, bigger sellers, aggregators, big guys, small guys. We deal with every type of client. Obviously, we do all the logistics, supply chain, whether it's air freight, ocean freight, full container loads, less than container loads, warehousing, trucking, and everything related to logistics and moving your freight. That's what we do. And yeah, I've been pretty much active and ongoing with you, Sharon, and updating the community. So I'm here to give a market update, some insights about what we're going to see in the next couple of months, what happened in the past quarter. I think the last time we spoke was, April or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, ready for the good stuff.
All right. So last time, or in the last year, every time I've had you on, probably even 2 years, it's kind of been like a depressing update because there's been so much volatility and problems, and supply chain was so broken. And now it's starting on a shipping level. It's starting to more or less, hopefully, even out. So we're going to have a less depressing podcast today, which is exciting.
It's going to be uplifting, I think, because there's a lot of, again, if you are an importer or a shipper, that's the time where things are kind of getting back to normal. Prices are still higher than pre-COVID era or years, but it's getting better. It's getting much better. I think we are over, we were at, $17,000 a container, again, Shanghai, Los Angeles at the peak, and now we are getting to 7. So we're already down by half. And the good news for importers is that the rates are keep on dropping almost every week or every 2 weeks, because there's just less demand in the market right now. More supply, less demand. We discussed it before. Peak season, usually peak season where importers and shippers order and ship their Q4 cargo and products. Again, if we eliminate the past 2 years, COVID, in the last 10 years before COVID, May, June, July, peak season is starting, and we are seeing prices going up every single week, every single month, starting 1st of June. Usually, prices are going up, both air and ocean, and they'll keep on going up until November, where everybody's out and shipped their Q4 products, and then they'll start dropping until the Chinese New Year again. But this year, what we are seeing is that instead of prices going up, they are going down. So the trend is lower. And so we know for a fact that peak season is late, and some might say very late this year. And amongst industry experts, logistics people, there is a big debate and question whether we're going to have peak season this year, right? With everything happens in the States, with inflation rising, and a lot of talks and data about big importers and medium-sized importers that are overstocked. Importers used to, I would say, COVID numbers or sales velocity. What happened in COVID was a very unique situation where just, consumers spent a lot of money on consumables or physical products, whether it's online or offline. But a lot of money shifted from services, going out to restaurants, flying abroad, concerts, shows, outdoor activity, all that wealth shifted to physical products. So we saw a huge spike in physical products, and importers, a lot of importers were preparing for the same growth, or the same numbers, or the sales, same consumables. And what happened, they ordered a lot of products. And since what? Since January, February this year, numbers has tanked. Demand is tanked. So a lot of importers are probably overstocked, and some of the big guys like Costco and Walmart and Target, they are actually they are publicly putting the data out there, so we know the big guys are overstocked. So there's just less volume in the market. Shippers, importers ship less. And the big question, whether we're going to see a peak season this year or not. Again, for the common average shipper, not seeing a big peak season is a good thing, basically, because it will mean that prices will keep on going down, and it'll be easier to move cargo. Usually peak season, it becomes harder. There's starting to get congestion in China. Factories are flooded with orders, so it takes more time to produce and it takes more time to ship. But actually for importers, the fact that we are seeing a late peak season, or if there won't be a peak season this year, logistics wise is a good thing. And again, but inflation is not a good thing, because people will just buy less, so you'll sell less. So at the end of the day, I think both logistics people and sellers and importers prefer peak season, because it means people are buying.
That you're selling.
That you're selling. So again, it's a good thing logistics wise, price, cost of goods, and the fact that it's easier to move your product. But if at the end of the day you'll sell less, so it's not a good.
It evens out. Okay, but at least at this point we are seeing prices go down. And like you said, if prices continue to go down, it means that there's less people spending money because people are ordering less. But that's probably the first time that, in the last 2 years, we've been able to say currently prices are more or less stable in the fact that they're,
the trend is stable.
The trend is more or less stable, which it could change at any time, but highly unlikely for this year.
Highly unlikely for it to jump over the roof, all of a sudden. So highly unlikely. The big question here now is whether shipping lines, because again, it's all about supply and demand, right? It's simple rule of economics, supply and demand. So right now there is more supply than demand, right? There's more capacity, more space with vessels, with shipping lines to ship your products. So prices are going down. Now, the question is, a lot of industry experts waiting to see what's going to happen in the next month or two, because shipping line, the carriers themselves might artificially manipulate price. And what does it mean by artificially manipulating price? Is limiting supply, right? They can say, hey, this week we are going to cancel this vessel. Why? Because we can. It's their own vessels, so they can start, we call it blank sailing in the professional lingo. It's called blank sailing, so they can start blank a lot of voyages, and by doing that they'll basically limit their supply, limit capacity, and that
prices
will start driving prices, will drive prices up. Why would they do that? There are different factors. One, the love of money. In the past year or so, they've made, carriers, shipping lines made profits that they've never seen in the past 15 years together in 1 year. So they want to keep their profits high. That's obvious. And the second and more interesting fact is that starting this year, start of 2022, carriers they had a good strategy by trying to lock down the higher profits for the long run. So what they did is they went directly to importers, medium-sized and big-sized importers, especially US importers, and they offer them long-term contracts. Right now, when a carrier come to you in January and February and offer you a price of $8,000 a container, Shanghai, Los Angeles, for the next 12 months or 24 months, it seems very, very appealing. Because again, you look down at the data, the historical data, a month ago, the prices were $16,000, $17,000. So it looks like, a no-brainer. So a lot of importers are now under long-term contracts with higher rates, $8,000. Some of them we heard of $9,000. But actually the spot market, what it costs for a normal guy who's just shipping his first container is less than that. So imagine that. If a micro business or an Amazon sales could buy a container for $7,000, while
huge companies like
Quaker and huge companies are buying for $8,000 and $9,000. So shipping lines understand that this might be a big problem for them. If prices are keep on going down, a lot of these importers are gonna wake up and say, hey, we're gonna break that contract, whatever it costs, we're gonna break that contract. And then shipping lines will lose the locked profits for the next year or two. Some of these importers signed for a 3-year contract. Again, if you go back to January, where we don't know about inflation, there is a very big question mark in the market, but we do know that prices are very, very high. Signing that contract is a no-brainer. Now, these contracts are very, very smart. You can't just get out of it. A lot of these contracts are called dead freight contract, which means you, as an importer, in order to win that price and sign that contract, you gotta commit to a minimum weekly container quantity. You gotta commit to that quantity. So let's say you ship 1,000 containers a year. They'll want to know exactly how much you're gonna ship every week or every month, and you're gonna commit on a contract. And if you don't ship that amount that you committed on, you're gonna pay for it. It's called dead freight because they block the space for you, whatever reason they come up with. So it's not that easy to say, all right, I have a contract, but I'll buy at the spot market. I'll buy outside of my contract, because you still need to pay for these containers on your contract. So it's a very tricky situation for shippers, but it's even more problematic for shipping lines, for the carriers themselves. If prices are keep on going down, it will start become beneficial to start breaking contracts or hiring lawyers and start going into kind of wars with the carriers. So
and therefore we may then see an artificial
therefore we might
price.
see carriers start canceling their vessels and limiting supply and starting creating congestions in China
in order to get the prices
to drive the spot market up.
Okay. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on and see whether it happens or not. Air freight prices are also going down.
Yeah, everything
because
is going
of the
down.
same reason.
Everything is going down in the market. There's just not enough volume, right? Goods being shipped. So again, that drive prices up. And again, the more the world will open up, the more congestion will ease and will get better and better destination countries, the faster price will go down, right? Because that's still, again, the two main factors for the price, volatility is the congestion, how hard it is to handle that freight, or how slow or complicated it is to handle freight, and the amount of freight being moved. These are the two factors. So we know that one factor, the amount of freight being moved, is low, and the faster the second factor of how congested or how easy the flow of goods will go down or will ease up or will come back to normal, the faster prices will go down. So right now, these two factors, again, one is low already, the volume, and the second one is getting improved by the day. And so again, that's exactly why we see prices are keep on going down.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, so we last spoke in April. Now it's, beginning of July. In that time, there was, I think, almost a 2-month long lockdown in Shanghai,
Yeah.
which is now opened back up. I know that they're now in 9 different provinces in Shanghai starting to do COVID tests again twice a day. So it could lead to another, we don't know, could lead to another lockdown because of China's zero COVID tolerance or policy. Currently, though, Shanghai is not congested and is as normal.
Yeah, pretty much as normal. Again, logistics wise, they're still testing people once a day, twice a day, but again, they've became so good at it, so it doesn't really affect flow of goods, because again, they've mastered the art of, I wouldn't know even how to call it, controlling COVID or whatever. So as long as they are not forcing people to stay at home, everything is kind of open operationally, logistics wise, open, free flow of goods. There is no COVID related problems in China or regarding logistics right now. But again, their policies out of this world. I definitely don't understand it, and it could change in a heartbeat. So that's another factor that we can't really
Control
rely on. Yeah, control.
Yeah, predict.
Yeah, predict, exactly.
Okay. And congestion in ports, America-wise, what's going on there?
Well, US is getting better. I mean, West Coast is getting better and better. There was a lot of fear about the union contract negotiation in the US West Coast in Los Angeles, Long Beach. It's already expired, but as expected, there wasn't any strikes or any severe problems or because of that. So they are keep on talking, and the negotiation is still happening, but we are not expected to see any strike or any problems because of that, which was a big fear in the past 2 or 3 months. So the number of vessels are going down in Los Angeles. East Coast is not as good as the West Coast. Now East Coast is becoming a problem. A lot of importers shifted from West Coast to East Coast because of the negotiations, because they knew it's gonna expire in the end of June. So a lot of importers shifted a lot of volumes in order to avoid any problems that might happen over this topic, but it eventually didn't happen, but the volume still shifted. So we are seeing congestion piling up in New Jersey, New York, Savannah, Charleston, mainly East Coast ports. Again, it's not that severe. It's manageable, talking about 3, 4, 5, 6 days of wait from arrival until the container discharge. Again, if we look back 2 years, in the past 2 years, that's golden, that's fine. So it's not more normal, but it's better than what we had in the past 2 years. So that's good. LA, I would say as well, 5, 6, 7 days wait time for a discharge and from the vessel arrival until the container is on the floor. So yeah, it's getting better, which is a good thing.
And then we have Europe. What's happening in Europe? Congestion.
Yeah, Europe is in pretty bad shape. There's a lot of strikes and problems in Hamburg, in Germany. Rotterdam also has seen a lot of problems in the Netherlands. And congestion is piling up there. It's getting worse and worse. And that's a problem because of 2 things. One, importing to Europe by sea becomes a problem again, becomes slow, and exporting out of Europe becomes slow. So there's a big concern from US importers who export out of Europe. There's a lot of exporting out of Europe to the States. So there's a growing concern about the congestion there, because it really delays exporting goods out of these ports as well. Not only importing, but exporting as well. Prices are going up there. Again, it's still better than what we've seen in the past 2 years, but the prices on the Trans-Pacific, the China-US trade lane is going down much faster than prices on the transatlantic, on the China-European trailer. So that's about that. Rail, moving cargo by rail from China to Europe is getting better and better. It was impossible in the past 2 years, but it's getting better with COVID easing up in Europe. Yeah, that's it, I would say.
Okay. And then last thing regarding the Trump tariffs. So we know that Biden said that they are going to look into getting rid of
eliminating the Trump tariff on consumer goods. Again, President Biden is trying to move towards eliminating a lot of Trump duties on consumer goods in order to fight the rising inflation. If at the end of the day, when you pay more, when it costs more to import a product, at the end of the day, it will cost more to buy that same product. So he's trying to eliminate these tariffs. I personally don't believe they'll do it eventually because there's too much of political wars and political powers involved by the two different parties. There are voices in the States that want to get results out of China or want to get something in return from China and not just to remove these duties and not getting nothing out of China. Seems like not a good deal for them. Also, some people don't really believe that would really affect inflation, that would really help fight inflation. So there are two voices there. Again, remember that some people are really benefiting from these import tariffs, so they don't want to see them go away.
Meaning the companies that are actually making their products in the USA,
Mexico, companies who had supply chains from China and because of Trump tariffs shifted to Mexico or South America or Europe or Vietnam, India, Cambodia, etc. So it costs a lot of money, pain, and effort to move your supply chain, to start new production lines and new factories. So think about it, all these companies spend all this money and effort and problems and pains and growing pains in order to get away from these tariffs. So now they want to see the tariffs, stay because that's their market advantage over the competition. So a lot of these guys don't want to see the tariffs go away. Obviously, people who produce their products in the States, same thing. They don't want to see the tariffs go away. And everybody who actually imports from China, they do want to see the tariff go away. So again, nobody knows what's going to happen in the next month. What we do know is that when they apply tariffs, it has an expiry of 4 years. And this month, the first round of tariff are going to expire. So they actually implied the first round of tariff 4 years ago. So they are either going to extend it or just let it expire. So it's going to be very interesting to follow up and see what's happening this month.
Okay. Anything else that we have an update on? Supply chain logistics. We went through speaking about pricing, congestion, air freight, whether there'll be an artificial price rate, raised by the lines. We talked about Europe. We talked about the tariffs. I feel like we did a pretty good update.
Yeah, I think we covered it all. The end of the day, if you have products to ship them. Don't wait. Same as in peak season, that was the conclusion. It's the same conclusion right now. There is no gain in waiting. So if you have products to ship them. Don't wait. And yeah, just keep in mind prices are going down. Sometimes prices are going down by the week. So for example, if you ask for a quote today and you got a quote for a container or even for a partial load, less than a container load, and your cargo is not ready or you have a production problem and eventually you'll have to ship 2 weeks ahead or 3 weeks ahead. Make
The
sure
new
you
quote.
revalidate your quote, because again, the trend now is the price is going down. So you might want to understand that trend and revalidate your quotes and look at freight indexes, right? Freight indexes would actually help you see where the market is going down on a weekly basis. We can do a live or a YouTube video about freight indexes and how to use them. Because that's an interesting topic where you can understand by yourself, by looking at some metrics, you can understand whether the market went up or down, and by how many percentage in the past week, in the past day, in the past month. So it's a good thing to know.
Amazing. Refael, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. They can either search for my name, my full name, or they can search for Unicargo. I'm pretty much active in every single platform except from TikTok. I'm too old for that. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, search for a name or my company name or Unicargo and just reach out. I'll be happy to chat.
Awesome. And for anyone that doesn't know, it's Refael, Refael, Elbaz, Elbaz, and unicargo.com is the website.
Yep.
Thank you so much for that update, Refael. I hope to see you back soon. I like the idea of doing that tutorial that you spoke about. I think it's a good one. And we'll see you either next quarter or before. Yes. Isabella will be back on Monday and Danny will be back on Tuesday, and I will see everyone next Thursday. Thanks again for your time, Refael.